Mini here of MGStudio. This is Hobbytips. In today's episode, I'll be covering black primer versus white primer. Everyone's got their own ritual when it comes to priming their miniatures, of which the most important are washing the casting residue off the miniature, and you can also take the time to clean and trim your seams. It's well worth the time investment. For the longest time, I was a card-carrying member of the black primer faction. The most notable benefit to priming your miniatures black is the preservation of shadows. With a proper dry brushing technique, every nook and cranny can be preserved. When working with a black primered miniature, the objective is to pull the color from the shadows. Unfortunately, sometimes you gotta pull pretty hard, because when you prime a miniature black, it can sometimes take you many layers to achieve the desired color. This, however, is where white primer shines. The typical objective when painting a white primered miniature is to lay down solid colored base layers and then follow that up with a series of washes to fill in all the nooks and crannies. However, anytime that you introduce more water to your miniature, it takes longer to dry. In all my years on this earth, while few, I found that anytime you have a polar argument, it's important to listen to both sides. Why can't you have your cake and eat it too? That's what I do when I frost my miniatures. Honestly, I don't even know if that's what they actually call it. That's just what I call it. And it's pretty dang effective. When frosting your miniatures, you want to start with a dark primer. I typically start with a flat matte spray-on black primer. I then follow up with a brush-on primer. This ensures that you won't run into any metal crotches when you're halfway done with your miniature. Metal crotches are a terrible thing to behold, except in Mad Max, where they are in fact awesome. After your miniature is primed and ready to go, it's time to frost it. I start with a large, damp, dry brush, and then I lightly load it. I then blast the miniature with a vigorous back and forth motion. I am taking care to move the brush perpendicular to most edges. If you do think about it, when you move a brush parallel to a groove, it will fill the groove. If you do this, take the time to go back and darken up the groove. After you lay down your initial layer, your subsequent layers can be more dry. The use of a damp brush was to ensure smooth color transition from black to white. All this happens to be the basis of dry brushing. So when you prepare your miniatures in this way, you're honing your dry brushing skills and learning how to load your brush. The benefits of frosting your miniatures are the same benefits of both the black primer and the white primer, with none of the cons. This priming method will yield strong color in the initial layers while preserving every nook and cranny. The best thing about this method is that any monkey with a brush can figure it out. It's very easy to frost your miniatures. So you know what to do. Go get your Bones 1 Kickstarter stuff, and then go get your Bones 2 Kickstarter stuff. And then prime them all, and then frost them. Until next time, hone your craft.